All right, I want to talk about Faras Zahabi's brother. So his brother Zahabi, he KO'd Rodriguez in the first.
Rodriguez. Sorry, Drako Rodriguez. So it's hard to say the name. Rodriguez. Yeah.
Really, well, to be honest, Rodriguez had really sharp boxing, and it felt like it looked like this was going to be the third loss for Zahabi because coming beforehand, he had a 2-fight losing streak skid. It wasn't looking good for him. One of those he got KO'd, and so it wasn't. I feel like a lot of people were expecting him to lose this fight just because Rodriguez, he's got such sharp striking. He's a bit scrappy as well. However, he made a bit of a mistake though. Although he was teeing off on Zahabi really well and they were moving around, they had good distance control. The speed was there. However, I don't know. I believe Zahabi just read him quite easily because Rodriguez went for a lead uppercut, but he never did any set. He never did a setup for it. With a lead uppercut, you actually do open yourself up for, and it's one of these. A lead uppercut, you really need to cover distance quickly because you do put yourself in a dangerous position
because you're exposing your chin from the uppercut.
Yeah, doing a counter right uppercut, that's good because you have to be very close by. For a lead uppercut to work, you have to close distance really quickly. Otherwise, you can stretch out that arm for an uppercut, but the power won't be there, and obviously the speed won't be there, and you're going to get caught. So you really need to cover distance really quickly. Rodriguez, Rodriguez. It's not that he wasn't fast. It was that Zahabi was faster, and I think he read it really well, and he went straight for a right overhand. Boom, clipped him. Bang, down, and Zahabi walked off.
Yeah.
Very, very quick KO, and I'm glad that, because Faras was actually in his corner, and he was like,
yeah,
well done. And I'm always interested in watching some of the people from TriStar because they've got really good kickboxing and they've got really good game plans because Faras Zahabi is a really good head coach.
Yeah.
So, it's good for Zahabi because he actually. If he lost for the third time, he was most likely getting cut.
Probably, because
he fought for his job yesterday.
We're seeing this string of fighters. We said this in the last podcast, like 3 fights. If you lose 3 times in a row, that's a question mark next to your name. You know what I mean?
Dana's been cutting a few people, and they don't really like to release the information of who's being cut, but. They've cut people with 1 loss before.
Yeah.
So they will do it.
Yeah.
But the general rule of thumb now is if you've lost like 2 of your last 5 or 2 of your last 4, or you're on a 3-loss skid, if you don't have a big name, and you're not ranked,
sometimes they even cut people who won.
Yeah, it's been a bit weird with that. I think that's usually with failed negotiations, maybe drug testing. There's a lot of little factors that run around, but the general rule, the general principle is if you're on a 3-fight losing streak or a 2-fight losing streak, if you don't win this, expect to get cut.
Yeah.
If you don't have a big name, you're not famous, if you didn't lose by maybe like a razor thin decision, you're gonna get cut, bro. You're gonna get cut, and that's the.
It's also because of markability, you know what I mean? Like, Dana's not going to... sometimes some people... Well, then again, I'm sort of like contradicting myself because he does cut people who are markable. But some people who are marketable, even though they lose, but they're easy to deal with. Like, the thing is, Dana hates it when fighters get on his nerves, you know what I mean?
Fighters are difficult to get on with, though. There's a lot of egos.
I think he wants people that are just easier to work with in general. If you find, because I remember this, because Dan Hardy, he mentioned this in his book. He said he thought he was going to get cut after he lost 3 or 4 fights in a row, and one of the founders of the UFC as well as Dana said, well, no, we're not going to cut him because we love him, because he's just so easy to work with, because he was never late, he never missed weight, he never had any issues with pay, he never had any issues with any of the commentators or anything like that, never had any issues with Dana. So I feel like, Dana does look after his fighters who don't give him a hard time. Like, he couldn't wait to cut Demetrius Johnson. He always had a hard time with Demetrius Johnson. And then he lost once, and then he just released him from his contract.
Yeah, but I feel like also Demetrius kind of like, he did enough in that division where you just looked for something new. Went to one championship, became a champion, won championship. So, and they even just also used him as a ploy to swap for another fighter. And then they used Ben Askren's name. So it worked out but it did work out. It's not uncommon for people to be cut if they're on a 2 or 3 fight losing streak, but I wouldn't be surprised even if you're difficult to work with. There's so many little factors, like if they've missed weight, if